Jim is a superhero, a real life superhero. And honestly, I believe that he's one of the best speakers out there. Okay. Not only because he has the passion, and Jim, I'm going to ask you about that when you get into that, is ask you about your superhero story. So Jim is going to teach us about expireds and FSBOs. He sells like a superhero. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about his bio. Started in the business in 2012, sold over 57 homes a year just doing expireds and FSBOs. 2017 MAPS coach, affiliate with Keller Williams and Gary Keller. Between 2013 and 2019, he sold 437 homes while leading a small team and coaching clients. Jim was also in 2018, while continuing to be a MAPS coach, he rolled his team into 14 Moves. 14 Moves International was an expansion network, and he became the director of lead generation, responsible for over 50 agents, over 17 locations across 3 states. 14 Moves International sold over 1,200 homes and ranked by the Wall Street Journal as the 31st largest in the world across all brokerages. I would consider that a superhero realtor. Would you guys? Welcome, Jim.
Wow, that guy sounds amazing.
He is pretty amazing. I get to work with you every week, and I love that you came on. So, Jim, tell us a little bit more about kind of add what I just added, okay? And then go into what you're going to teach us.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for that introduction. I wish my wife was here to hear that. That would have been awesome, but oh well. And my 22-year-old daughter, who all she does is basically roll her eyes at me. But other than that, yeah, you guys, so good to see you. Hi, Afshin. How are you? Good to see your smiling face. All right. Yeah. So I think maybe just the thing to say about my real estate journey is I rather suspect it's like everybody's on this call. All of us, or many of us, I should say, generally did something before. Something came up in our lives and we decided that we wanted to take a path that would lead us to a greater amount of wealth potential, and we picked real estate, right? And my story, you know, is interesting in that, I mean, well, I should say I don't think it's pretty normal. When I got into real estate, my first calendar year, as Tanya said, was 2013. I was a man in my mid 40s. I'm about 120 now in real estate years. But when I got into real estate, I had just left a partnership with a friend. It cost me everything I had. It was like a divorce. Left the town I had lived in, this beautiful house on a mountainside, moved back to the town that I grew up in that I hadn't lived in for 25 years. In a rented house in a 4th bedroom, wondering how I was going to support my wife and my daughter at that time. And I thought about the things that I could do, right? And I thought, well, whatever it is I pick, it has to be something that simply pays me for performance, because at my age, I'm not going to walk in and get an executive salary. So I figured it would be something in sales. Everything I looked at, you know, of the group, I looked at insurance. That didn't sound very fun. I looked at medical devices. That seemed hard work. And like many of you, probably, I bought and sold my own properties as an investor and as an owner. And I thought, yeah, you know, people need houses. Good markets or bad markets, people buy and sell. Luckily, I had a bit of a sales background, so I just knew, or I had this idea that if I could be a good salesman, learn the craft and apply myself, I could do well. I didn't really know the numbers. I didn't know what was normal. What was cool about that was I was unburdened by that. I never asked the question, what should I expect? It didn't occur to me to ask that. It was just in my mind of, these are my obligations and I can't not meet those. And I had one way to get there at that moment, which was real estate. So for me, I went all in, 100% all in. If you've ever heard the term burn the boats, that was kind of me. I did not have a plan B. If you knew me, if you knew me now, I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I am not the brightest bulb. However, I do one thing fairly well, is I can focus on one thing at a time. Don't ask me to multitask. It's very bad. Bad things happen. But if you do ask me to do one thing, I can do the one thing. And I'm going to walk you through how that worked out for me as it pertains to building a business with FSBOs and expireds. And I'm hoping that you're going to see that I'm pretty certain there's an application to your business and your life. So can everybody hear me okay? Everybody good? All right. I'm going to share my screen. Hold, please. I'm now pushing buttons. This is never a good sign. All right. We're going to talk about some mindset stuff. Does everybody see like a big blank screen? Big blank screen? Does everybody see 2 dots? All right. These 2 dots, ladies and gentlemen, these 2 dots, these 2 circles you see, this is your life. This is your life. This is it. It's 2 dots on a screen. The big dot, this is where the magic happens. This is that place in your mind when you think about your life as you desire it, where you bring value to the marketplace, where people want to do business with you, where you can make big promises and keep them, right? You can pay for the life that you design. You don't have to compromise. The people that you're responsible for, right? You take care of them in a way that makes you feel great every time you close your eyes. That's what's in that circle there. Now, there's this other circle right here. This circle is that's your comfort zone, baby. That's your comfort zone. So here's the thing I want you to consider. That life you see in your mind where the magic lives, you can get there. It just simply requires one simple thing. You ready? You ready? Here it is. You might want to write this down. Does everybody have a pencil in their hand? Sarah, I'm looking at you. Sarah, you got a pencil? Sarah's smiling. Courage. 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 I would also say the corollary there would be faith. Courage and faith. To get to where the magic is will require you leave your comfort zone. To leave that comfort zone requires courage. There's a concept that I want to just hit on before we get to the meat and potatoes of FSBOs and expireds. It's something that Gary Keller coined. It's called going from E to P. E meaning entrepreneurial to P, purposeful. All right. So now you guys, most of you on this call, or many of you, I should say, are newer in real estate, right? All of us were new. What's so cool about real estate, though, you guys, is just because you're new doesn't mean you can't do a lot of business. You can. I was the top listing agent in my market center my first year, and I knew far less about real estate than most of the other agents in that market center, and yet I was taking more listings. I'm going to show you how I did that. So entrepreneurial basically means you do what comes naturally. All of us have a background. We probably come from other jobs. We have other skill sets. And what we're doing right now, and maybe this is you, you're just drawing on that well of knowledge that you've accumulated in your life, right? And you're now repurposing it for real estate. This is not bad. This is a good thing, right? You want to take those skills and you want to put them to work. The thing I want you to observe is that application of those skills, while beneficial, will only take you so far, and you've got to decide, is that okay? Or is to get to where the magic is, does it require something else? I'm going to guess that where the magic is may require you to do more than just be this guy. Many times we treat our real estate businesses like this guy. Hey man, I'm just out there making it happen. I'm doing what comes naturally, right? I'm not saying it's bad or wrong. I'm just saying you will likely discover that that approach to your business will produce results of a certain level. And they may not be what you need to get you to where the magic is. So what does that mean? You want to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Basically, what I'm saying is doing what comes unnaturally. This is huge, you guys. This is huge. I've had the good fortune of coaching agents from all over the country. And many of the agents that I've coached were in team situations, right? So we were having very brass tacks, practical conversations about production. How do I get more people to choose me as their real estate agent? And if there is one thing I observed over and over again, it seemed that the people that got comfortable with being uncomfortable always produced more in all facets of their life, all facets of their life. And again, I'm just going to point back, many times part of the keys to, getting comfortable with uncomfortable is just having courage and exercising a little bit of faith. All right. So to cross from that comfort zone to where the magic is, you must be purposeful. Now there's some good news here. If you're shaking in your shoes, I hope not. So here's what I want to point out, right? If you don't have a goal right now, this is important. I want you to think about 2023 right now. In real estate, Tanya, would you not agree? It's basically 2023 right now. It basically is
Absolutely.
2023 right now. Yep. So everything you do today, it's likely the result of that activity is going to show up next year. How do you know if you're doing your job today if you don't know what it is you're trying to accomplish next year? Don't panic if you don't have a goal. It's okay. I'm just the old guy in the beard who's saying, after this meeting, I want you to think deeply on that. And in the next group coaching call with Tanya, bring your questions and your goal and perhaps let yourself be examined. And when I say goal, I want you to be specific. Now we're adults having an adult conversation, and many of you on this call I have personally spoken to. This goal is a dollar figure. It's a dollar figure. I know that probably for many of you, money does not motivate you. I accept that. But we can all agree that the best things in life are not free. They are exorbitantly expensive. Exorbitantly expensive. So the thing I'm asking you is, what life do you want to fund with your real estate business? What does that life cost? Adults know nothing is free. Adults know that. Children do not, but adults do. So if the number is $100,000, I hear that number a lot. Awesome. What do you need to be doing today to keep you on track to finish next year at 100 grand or 120 or 75 or whatever it is? So this is very important. It sets up the rules of the game, folks. You can't win a game where there's no rules and nobody keeping time. This line is
And we
very
get
important.
amen.
Amen. Can I get it? That's right. Can I get an amen? This is something called your ceiling of achievement. What you will find, you guys, is, and part of the reason many of you that I've spoken to, we brought on and we've connected you with teams, because what we saw in you was a real spark of greatness. We got that sense of, oh yeah, that man, that lady, they've got something, right? This is where you take everything you know naturally to do. You just throw it at real estate. And what you'll find is it will produce, but it will level off. Okay. Now the question is, how do you break through? You must I'm going to show you what your life can be if you stick with just what comes natural, right? The first is you whack that ceiling of achievement. I certainly did it, right? And here's what happens. You get disappointed, right? While disappointment is human and normal, right? And I can remember in real estate, when I did it, I did 57 transactions. I remember the second year on, well, I'm going to double it. That's 110 transactions. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to do more of what I did last year, only harder. That'll work. And man, I hit that ceiling of achievement so hard, I practically gave myself a black eye. Then here's what happens. Resignation. Suddenly this starts coming out of your mouth. Oh, the market. Oh, buyers. Oh, sellers. They're so stupid. Or this or that, right? Ooh, ooh. If you're hanging out with somebody and that's what they're leading with, you want to politely find the door and get out, right? I was there, banged my head, 57 houses year one. I'm like, I'm Superman. Whack, crap. Next thing that happens is, all right, now listen to me, everyone. Listen to me now. I'm going to slow down here for a second. If it was easy, we'd all be beautiful, skinny, and rich. So what I'm telling you is, and I'm saying that this is normal. I just want you to be aware of it. You may bang your head, go again, bang your head again, and now you're looking left and right for a greener pasture. Here's what happens. Maybe you choose the greener pasture, but guess what happens? You do the same thing over again and whack, you hit your head. Tanya, you muted me. Was it like, why? What, do you hate me? What's happening? Okay. What happens, my point I'm trying to make is this cycle can continue. And I'm pointing it out to you so you have it in your conscious mind. By the way, the ceiling of achievement is not, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it could be 100 grand and 100 grand may pay for your life. Problem is, if the magic for you in your mind really costs 200, the question is, how do you break through the ceiling? All right. So let me show you how. I think, by the way, this is why all of you got into real estate in the first place, okay? Because you were at some ceiling in whatever you were doing before, and now you really want to get past it to where the magic is. All right, so here's your goal. There's the ceiling of achievement, right? Now though, you have bucked up your courage. You've decided to choose faith over fear. And you're prepared to do it, comes in naturally. So here's step one. You focus. This is such good news, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that successful people statistically are not the smartest? They are not the most naturally gifted. They do not necessarily come from overly privileged backgrounds. That is not an earmark of success. However, successful people do exhibit an uncanny ability to focus. So part of getting to where the magic is you may have to say no to some things. And that's a good thing. I want you to think about what in my life or who in my life do I perhaps need to say no to? Here's number two. Design a plan of action. Not only a plan of action, but a plan of action based on models. I'm going to give you some more good news. There is no place that you want to go that someone else has not already gone to and left a map for you. Think about that. Think about that. That is especially true in real estate. I have yet to meet, and I have had the great privilege of meeting some of the highest performers in our industry. These are guys that have gone to the places that many of us aspire to go to, and they have left detailed instructions on how to get there. I've met lots of people who have lots of plans, but those plans they've made up in their own mind, and I'm thinking, why in the world wouldn't you just simply follow a map? Number 3, and this is big, recurring action. Ladies and gentlemen, we're having an adult conversation. Anybody can do anything hard once or twice or 3 times. But what will separate you, what will get you to where the magic is recurring action over and over and over and over and over again. I have heard it said, and I love this saying, that most people do not have the stamina required to deal with the boredom of success. I'm going to tell you about me. I would sit in a chair some days starting at 8 o'clock, and I wouldn't get out of that chair until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And all I did was make phone call after phone call after phone call. And I said the same exact thing. So all I'm saying is, one time, not impressed. 1,000 times, now you have my attention. And then here's the 4th thing, and this is critical. Is there someone in your life who is looking over your shoulder, who is as invested in your goal as you are, and loves you enough not to put up with your baloney and will call you on? Now, don't panic if you don't have that. I'm simply bringing this up to say, now you know. And if perhaps your results don't match where you want to be, you can't get to the magic, you're bumping your head up against that ceiling of achievement, it could be because one of these things is missing. Maybe you're unfocused. Maybe you got a bad plan. Maybe you're just not doing that thing that's the right thing, you're just not doing it enough. Or maybe you just need somebody to give you a good, swift kick in the pants on a fairly regular basis. And it could be a couple of these things. All right, so here's my story. I got my license. And just like you guys, I had my license. I'm like, this is great. I wonder what they do now. Do I put up an antenna? Do I set up a little lemonade stand? Hi, Jim Gray, 50-cent lemonade. Oh, and let me sell your, what do I do? So I talked to a broker, right? And she said, oh, and I told her, I said, look, she says, call your sphere of influence. I go, I don't really have one. I just moved to town. She goes, well, you grew up here. I go, yes, but I've been away for like 26 years. She's like, oh, She said, all right, here's what you should do. You should call FSBOs and expires. That's what she said. And I went, that's great. What's a FSBO? But here's what she suggested. She said, Jim, here's the model. And I figured she was authoritative. She said, FSBO, I didn't know what it was. She said, a for sale by owner. I go, you mean like somebody's selling their house on their own? She goes, yes. I said, okay, what's an expired? She goes, oh, that's a house that was listed, but didn't sell. I'm like, really? That happened? She goes, oh, yeah. So this was critical, right? She told me something. She gave me a key. She said, this is what other very successful people have done and built their whole business on. I went, okay. This is my production in that year. And I want to show you something, right? I sold 57, 34 were listings. The vast majority were expires and FSBOs. I'm going to show you something else here. And Tanya may be the one who's getting this. That was $7.5 million in volume on 57 units. The average price point in my market, you guys, divided by 57, what at that time was 130 grand. Woo-hoo! Wow. That's, yeah, dude, right? So to make any money at all, I knew I had to sell a lot of houses. All right, so now I want to walk you through this. I'm going to give you, I want to say something here at the beginning though. It is likely what I'm doing here, this is just a primer. This does not go deep enough, right? You can go much deeper than this. This may actually raise more questions than it answers. But the thing I'm telling you now is it okay to have an adult conversation? We're adults, right? Nobody's coming for you. There is no cavalry. If you don't do it, it won't get done. And you are creative, resourceful, and whole. All the answers you require are within you or within reach. All right? So take a deep breath and come with me. So if you don't know, an expired is a listing that was formerly listed on the MLS, and now its listing contract period has elapsed and the home didn't sell. What that simply means is you as a competing agent can contact that seller, and you don't violate any that seller doesn't violate any contractual relationship in talking with you. That's a person who likely still wants to sell their house and has already demonstrated that they would work with an agent. FSBO is an acronym that stands for sale by owner, as you probably know. This simply means these are people that are selling their own homes and they're acting as their own agent. What's great about these leads, my friends, is these are people who have already raised their hand. They've identified themselves and they have said, we are trying to sell a house. All right, so kind of keep that in your brain. Here's what you need to be successful in a successful expired or FSBO campaign. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need. You need data. You need a script. You need a CRM. Those are your tools. And most importantly, you need a strategy. So I've seen a couple things, you guys. I've seen agents with great tools not do very well. I've seen agents with great strategies and bad tools not do very well. So here's what you want to do is have good tools and a good strategy and use them together. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through what I think are the right tools and strategies to win with expireds and FSBOs. And we're going to kind of focus on FSBOs just because what you'll find, and I found this, I was particularly good at talking to FSBOs for whatever reason. I've had buddies in the past who love expireds, right? But I kind of found my way with FSBOs. Let's talk about strategy. This is so important. What I'm about to tell you is this goes for everything, not just FSBOs and expireds. So stick with me now. See that at the bottom? This is what we're trying to get to, aren't we? A paycheck. I mean, this isn't a hobby, right? We want to get paid. How do you get paid in real estate? You have to have a closing. How do you get a closing in real estate? You have to get an accepted purchase offer. How do you get an accepted purchase offer in real estate? Well, you have to have a listing contract, either with a seller or a buyer. But how do you get a listing contract with a buyer or seller? You have to hold an appointment. Well, okay, great. How do you hold an appointment? Well, you need to set an appointment. Well, how do you set an appointment? You must talk to people. There are people in this country that pay me $1,500 a month to tell them that. And I just gave it to you for nothing. This is the path. I show you this. I show you this because I want you to be at 30,000 feet looking down in your business. People want, listen, if this happens to me too. I was about to say we watch too much TV. Let me revise that. We watch too much TikTok, right? I mean, this is what a real estate business is. If you notice, this whole thing about buying and selling and sexy people driving sexy cars, having sexy conversations, it's like, yeah, dude, this is the path to wealth in real estate. If you can focus on this, you'll do quite well. So the way when I think back of what drove my personal success this first year, and it was a little unconscious, I lived here. I lived in the red box. Do you see this? Rather than trying to control everything, I figured if I could talk to enough people and get enough people to agree to meet with me, then I would meet with enough people. That is where I lived. I lived there. When I got up in the morning, I was not thinking about closings. I was not thinking about listings. I was not. I was thinking about who can I talk to today who will agree to meet with me. That is all I thought about. And I suggest to you that that's pretty reliable. And the guys that I've seen really produce, I have heard something similar. So I'm just saying is, I'm not saying this academically to you. I'm saying I personally live this. All right, so stick with me here. By the way, I just knew if I got in enough houses, I could list property. And you should know, I want you to think about this. The first time I made a phone call to a seller, my license, I think, wasn't even 90 days old. I didn't have a business card. I didn't know how the MLS worked. I didn't have a sign. And I was on the phone chatting with sellers. Okay, let me ask you something. There's a term. I'm sure Tanya has said this, and she probably sees it in her dreams. I want you to think about what happens. We have a term for what agents do between a conversation and an appointment set. Anybody know what it is we might do? You can unmute yourself and shout it out if you think about it. What do agents do with folks that maybe they've chatted with that goes on between the conversation and the appointment set? Anybody?
Is it building rapport?
Building rapport. That's good. That's good. It's that.
Maintain
That's part of
contact.
it. I love it.
I'm just moving my wrist.
Maintain contact.
Maintain contact. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Build rapport, maintain contact. Who else?
Build a relationship.
Build relationship. Yep. So these are all the qualities of one term. I'm going to stop here for a minute. I know what it's like to try to make it in business, in real estate. You guys, I know. I do know. I know. Tanya knows too. What you're looking at here is, if you could hear anything from me today, I would say that this is your job. This is your job. If you get great at this, where your life, where the magic happens, will become a reality for you. Quite certain. Chatting with people, following up with them for the purposes of having them agree to meet with you. Okay, you're building a funnel, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, we're still on strategy. If you notice, I'm not even to the tools yet, right? The strategy really, in my mind, is the most important thing. People will say, well, I'm really good when I meet with people. And I say, can I be frank? Tanya, is it okay to be frank? I'm going to say this.
Absolutely. Sock it to us.
All right. So here's what I'm going to say. Everybody says, I'm really good if I can meet with people. I'm like, so what? So what? Everybody is. Everybody's good. That's not the value. The value is getting somebody to meet with you. That's the job. So how do you do that effectively? You build a funnel. I'm going to say something else that might seem a little radical. People will say, well, are they qualified leads? I would say, what's a qualified lead? I'll go so far as to say that lead quality is directly proportional to agent skill. So I have seen skilled agents convert leads like crazy. I've seen less skilled agents with the same leads convert less. So what I'm telling you is these leads, if you know what you're doing with them, can have a high quality. And what you're doing is sorting. Write that word down. You are a professional sorter of leads. The way you sort these leads is you follow up, and they will tell you where they need to go. And you are trying to identify near-term business, medium-term business and long-term business. How many people here believe they're going to be in real estate by a show of hands in 5 years? Anybody think is your plan right now to be in real estate in 5 years? Okay. So if somebody had $1 million house, they said, I'm going to sell in 5 years when my wife retires from the school system. Do you think that's somebody that should be in your system that you should be following up with on a regular basis? Anybody? Yes, that's right. So all I'm saying is, kids, you want to make sure that that person is in the strategy. Okay. So we know what FSBOs and expireds are. We need the data. Now we need a script. Now, there is no end of script resources inside of EXP and outside of EXP. There are dozens, probably certainly hundreds of FSBO and expired courses that you can take. What I can tell you is, and here's what's so beautiful, this goes back to models. You can make up what to say, or you can simply use what has been said and proven to work. You get to choose. It's kind of like if you were my buddy and we were having a beer, I'd say, well, you get a choice. You can either make money or not. You pick. All right. So let's talk about the script. Let's go back. I'm going to actually walk through a script with you. Let me just see here. Do. Hold, please. Hold, please. Hold, please. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about, actually, oh, I'm sorry. How embarrassing. Let's go back to data. So we're on data, right? Strategy. All right, that's it. Data. Let's talk about data. So we talked about strategy. We're sorting leads. We want to put them in a pipeline. Great, Jim. Where do the leads come from? Okay. Here's a great source of expired leads. If you don't know this, in your MLS, you can go right in there and go find the expireds. You're looking at my MLS. I went in there this morning, and you can see that I've chosen expireds, anything that expired in the last 60 days in this zip code. And what I can tell you is, look at that. Those are all the homes that have come off the market unsold. I want to point something out. You remember when people say, oh, this market's flaming, all the houses sell? The answer is, no, they don't. No, they don't. They do not. Now, smart agents know this. So what you should do is, this is what I did. Call every darn one of them. Every single one. Now we're going to get to how you do that. So I show this to you to say, if you don't know where to find the expireds in your MLS, then go find it, right? Your broker can help you. You can watch, a YouTube tutorial, but you should know where that is. Here's a great place to find for sale by owners. I love this, right? I'm in Zillow. I don't know if you've heard of Zillow. It's a monster website that, has all the property, wants to eat your lunch as a real estate agent. Here's a way to get back at them. You can just go to the for sale by owner tab, click on it, and God bless America. Here's a guy in my town. I know right where that house is. And there's his phone number. That's a guy basically raising his hand and saying, Marcia, would you come and list me? Would you please do that? That would be amazing. Would you do that? So all I'm saying is, that's real data. Now, you want to be efficient. The question is, some MLSs will give the contact information for sellers, most will not. So if you don't have contact information for expireds, there are places to get it. This is why I sort of liked FSBOs, because I could get the contact information in public sources and it didn't slow me down. However, let me show you 3 great tools to get this data. The RedX, Vulcan 7, or Mojo. Some of these you may have heard of. I can tell you that I, for 3 years in a row, used RedX. Any one of them is good, and there are others. If you simply Googled expired data, you'll get choices. These are typically the most popular. RedX is probably going to cost you about $90 a month. Mojo is going to cost you around $120, $150. Vulcan 7 is the priciest of the group at like $250 plus. So if you're on a low budget, right? I think RedX could be a great choice for you. And just so you know, business ain't free, right? You're going to either invest in tools or you're going to invest your time. Either can be the right way to go. But I think what I like about, I think all of these, none of them have long-term contracts. So let's say RedX was $100 for expired data. You could make a 90-day investment of $300 and you could really make some headway. All right. So this is where you're going to get the data, or these are places you could get the data. By the way, RedX, Vulcan, and Mojo will give you both expired data. They'll give you FSBO data. They'll give you also what's called geo data. So if you wanted to call neighborhoods, you could do that. That's a different strategy, but these tools will supply that data for you. Okay, so now let's talk about a script. You can get data, but if you got a bad script, you're not going to get great results. If you got a great script and bad data, you're not going to get great results, right? Nothing is perfect. We're not after perfect. We are after purpose and execution. So I feel good about recommending these vendors here. Now let's talk about a script. All right. A good script, you guys. Can I say this about scripts, Tanya? That's it. I'm just going to tell them the truth. Is that okay?
All right. Yeah, keep it clean.
All right. Here's the deal. You could make a case that in real estate, everything's a script. Everything. Every question somebody asks you, everything you want to tell someone as it pertains to real estate can be boiled back to a script. That exists. If you learn the scripts, you will watch your income rise dramatically. Now, here's what I've heard people say about scripts. I would use scripts, but I don't talk like that. And here's my response. Of course you don't. You don't want to talk like you. The person you want to talk like makes a lot more money. So learn the script. Of course it's unnatural, but you're going to go through 3 phases. You're going to memorize, you're going to internalize, and then you can customize. All right. So now here are the elements of a good script. Oh, what are the elements of a good script? There's a slide here, Tanya. Oh, let's talk about a FSBO script. I can get this resource to you. This is a very simple but effective FSBO script. I'm going to walk through it with you. So this is somebody, we could call that guy right off Zillow. Hey, Fred, this is Jim with eXp Realty, and the reason for my call is. The reason I've bolded out the reason for my call is I love that. They want to know why you're calling, and you just headed off at the pass. It's likely if you dial them, you're not the first real estate agent. So I have found it very effective just to get to the point. The reason for my call is I'm checking to see if Main Street is available. In most cases, they're going to say yes. And I'm just going to take the happy path here for now. They say yes. I go right to, great. If I were to bring a buyer that would pay a price acceptable to you, would you be open to paying a 3% commission? Fill in whatever commission amount would be appropriate in your market area. In my market, 3% is still appropriate. In most cases, they'll say yes. Frankly, even if they don't say yes, it doesn't matter to me, right? Let's say they say yes. In most cases, they will say yes. Great. What would be good to know about your home to tell my buyers? And trust me, friends, for sale by owners love to talk about their houses. This is the rapport building. Let them talk. Let them talk about it, right? So, hey, Fred, it's Jim Gray with eXp Realty. The reason for my call is I'm just checking to see if Main Street is available. By the way, you hear my tone of voice? That's exactly the tone of voice I use. High energy, fun, and I'm moving through it, right? I want that energy to kind of come out the other end of the phone, right? They say whatever they're going to say. Usually it's just yes. I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. If I were to bring a buyer that would pay a price acceptable to you, would you be open to a 3% commission? Would you be open to it? Again, the emphasis, the tone. Would you be open to it? I'm not asking him to pay me. I'm not asking him to commit to anything. I'm just asking, would you be open? Most people are open to anything reasonable, right? What would be good to know? They tell you. Whatever comes out of their mouth, respond. Write this down. Mirror and match. Mirror and match. Mirror and match. If someone says, if somebody is tearful, my mom just passed away and we're clearing out the house and man, it's hard, right? Then my initial approach, hey, that's not the approach to stick with. It's like, okay. If they're very direct with you, you mirror and match. You'd be direct right back with them. If they're having a great time, you have a great time right back to them. It's a very basic sales technique. People respond to similar energy. Okay. That sounds amazing. When you sell, will you be staying in town or leaving the area? This is a great question. Here's why. Even if you don't get the listing, if they're going to stay local and they're going to buy again, you can potentially represent them on the purchase side, can you not? So why not find out now, right? By the way, do you notice I'm just asking questions, real estate questions that are pertinent and not in any way invasive, right? When you sell, are you leaving the town or are you staying? Well, we're probably going to stay. Oh my gosh, that's great. Ideally, when would you like to make the move? Guys, this is critical. People have timing and motivation that drive their real estate buys and sells. Agents make a critical error. They focus on motivation. I focus on timing. I assume everybody wants to make a move. What I am more concerned on is timing. Too many assumptions, I've learned this by hard example, by hard experience, and by talking with other exceptional real estate agents. If somebody says, I'm having a baby, it is wrong for me to go, oh my gosh, we got to get you a house. No, I don't. What if they're living in their mom's basement and they're perfectly happy, right? Somebody has $1 million cash money. Oh my gosh, we can find you a house tomorrow. Nope. Maybe they don't want to buy. Who knows? So you want to get really good at focusing on timing. Ideally, when you like to be in, and you make a note here. Okay, got it. For some reason, if the home doesn't sell, I love this transition. Got it. Hey, for some reason, listen to the tone. For some reason, if the home doesn't sell, when do you think you might consider interviewing an aggressive agent like myself to list the property to make sure that you're in Arizona by September? And then be quiet. You'll be shocked. People will tell you, about 30 days, about a week. I don't know. I might try it till the end of the summer. Now you know something. You know that that person, if it doesn't sell, they will at some point be interviewing agents. Here's the rule of thumb. Whatever timeline they give you, just cut it in half. Cut it in half. If they say a month, it's 2 weeks. If they say 3 months, it's a month and a half. Okay? Then here's how I button it up. Okay, got it. Here's what I'll do. I'll relay what you told me to my buyers. And if it's okay with you, I'll check in with you every so often to see how it's going. Oh, one last thing. Will you be doing an open house anytime soon? And they'll say, yes, great. I'll swing by and introduce myself. That's it. That's it. If you have a conversation where you've just met them, they've told you, I'm going to try it on my own. Probably in 30 days, I might interview a real estate agent. Are you going to have an open house? No, I'm not. Okay, great. Is it okay if I keep in touch? Yes, it is. Boom, you've done it. Move on. I'm going to give you 2 rebuttals. Some people get a little antsy. Some people get a little antsy about, well, do you have a buyer? You might get asked that. If I have a buyer, will you pay? Would you be open? Say, do you have a buyer? And you can go right to, yeah, I'm working with a number of buyers at the moment. If I could bring a buyer, if I could bring one of those buyers that would pay a price acceptable to you, would you be open? Right? If you don't have any buyers, you need to be talking to more people. You can craft that sentence in a way that you feel suits you. I've heard things like this before. Well, actually, I'm talking to a number of people who I think this could be a fit for. If it was, would you be open to a 3% commission? Do you see how you just move them past it? The answer is, well, yeah, it's a distinct possibility. If I do, would you be open? You just move right onto it. You're on your script. They're following you. If they say to you, and I've heard this before, do you just want to list my house? Here's what I think is a true statement. I'd be open to it, but I prefer to just help you sell. It would actually be easier. You guys know that in most cases we get paid the same amount anyway, right? So it would just be simpler if I could just bring the buyer, they buy it, you give me my check, and I go home, Mr. Seller. And you can say it just like, oh, well, I'd be open to it, but I would prefer to just bring the buyer. It's kind of easier for me. And if I did bring a buyer, would you be open to that 3% commission? Okay, great. When you sell, where do you think you might be going? You follow? We just move right on. I can tell you that if you have a script like this with every new FSBO that falls within your market area where you will work every single week, you will start to build that pipeline. And every time they say to you, how long will you wait before you interview aggressive agents? They give you a time frame, you cut it in half, and now this is where the organizational piece comes in. This is why you need your CRM. And there it is, CRM. Oh, this is what I was looking for. I'm going to move past this. All right, so now let's go back to the CRM portion. So data, script, and now CRM. Here's a little rule of thumb. If you can remember everybody you need to follow up with, you're not following up with enough people. Most agents, typically speaking, underestimate, this goes for me, by the way, underestimate the amount of people they need to be interacting with on a daily, weekly basis to produce the number of closes they want to produce. This is why getting really familiar with KV Core is critical, okay? I can't stress enough, blocking in just maybe blocking time to take classes on use of KV Core. This will help you because you want to put all of your leads into a funnel that KV Core manages for you. You will ultimately build a larger business and it'll open you to more opportunities. Okay.
Jim, can I add to that?
Yeah.
We have a training that every single one of you have, and I'll resend it out. And it's how I made millions with KV Core, a top producer, how to be repeat and referral client pro with top producer, and how to share other people's listings with KV Core. So I said top producer, all with KV Core. So I have those trainings for you.
I love it. So that would be some time well spent. Here's what I have found. If you want a simple but very effective way to build this pipeline inside of KV Core, you can tag people. And here's how I would recommend you tag them. They're going to take action either this month, next month, within 60 to 90 days, this year, next year, period. You can certainly break this down even more, but I can tell you with a network of 7 locations in 4 states, 60 agents selling 600 houses a year, this was our method. People are either going to list with somebody this month, next month, 60 to 90 days, this year, next year. That's it. And the tag that we have fixed dictated the amount of follow-up that we did with that person. And remember the job I said that you really have. You have the lead generation, lead follow-up, setting appointments. That really is the job. To do that job at the highest level, to get you to where the magic is, you want to get really good at tagging every record inside of KV Core. Here's the way we would do it. We just used a numbering system, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So you could create a tag inside of KV Core. I would call it a 10 seller, the number 10 and the word seller. Every time you talk to a FSBO who said, well, I'm going to try it one more week, and then, I might talk to some agents. That's a 10. They're going to take action this month. That FSBO might say, well, I'm probably, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to be at it for about 60 days, and then we'll see. Okay, that's an 8. A FSBO might say, if I can't sell it this month, I'm definitely going to list it with somebody next month. That's a 9, right? This is how you keep track of people. It's so important. By the way, not only does it work for sellers, but the same thing with buyers, you guys. You're going to be talking to buyers. People are going to say, I want to buy. The question to answer is, great. Ideally, when do you want to be in your new house? When? That's the question. When? And listen to what they're saying. This way, you can put the proper tag on them, and you can execute the proper intervals of follow. All right. You're building a pipeline. If you are on my team, Marcia, I would meet with you and I'd say, Marcia, how many 10s do you have? How many 9s do you have? How many 8s do you have? How many 7s do you have? Right? And you would go right to KV Core and show me. I can tell you that you're looking to build a pipeline of 7s through 10s that have somewhere around 60 to 80 records in it. I want you to think about that. 60 to 80 people that have indicated to you they have some timing to buy or sell within the next year. And it may take you some time to get there, but stick at this. If you get here, this is the kind of clarity that really separates one agent from the other. One agent that's running around with their hair on fire, and another agent that is building a business. Building a business. Okay. And there's a lot of training inside of KV Core that will help you set this up properly.
Well, and I
show
just
you
want to add
something.
to that really quick, Jim.
Yeah.
Those of you that get overwhelmed with KV Core, we have a resource. If you pay him $74, he will set up your entire KV Core for you with all of your different platforms. You don't have to worry about it. So talk to me and I'll get you that resource.
Yeah. And I would say, guys, overwhelm is part of it. Overwhelm is part of it. Remember this whole leaving your comfort zone? Yeah. Part of uncomfortable is, yeah, you may be plagued with overwhelm. I'm going to show you something, right? It's easy for people to look at this table, but there's a piece of this story that many people do not know. That's right. I took 34 listings. There was a plaque with my picture on the wall. It was amazing, right? But here's what people didn't know. What you're looking at here is, these are all the CMAs that I did. I went on 102 listing appointments that year. 102. So the thing I want to sink in is, I want you to think about this. My conversion rate was 34%. If you were in high school algebra and your test came back with a 34% at the top, what was the letter grade? It was an F. And let me tell you something. There were a lot of days I felt like a failure. I would go 10 appointments in a row and hear no. And I would question everything in my life. I'm an idiot. My mother was right. I will never amount to anything, right? I mean, all those terrible things you tell yourself. And yet, you guys, I got a 34% grade on that paper, and I was still the top guy. So what I'm telling you is, keep going. Keep going. I've learned this, and I'll leave you with this. I'm still learning this, by the way. It's hard. You know, raised Italian Catholic, so, you know, guilt and failure are key ingredients to life. Successful people, what I've observed with them, they have a very different relationship with what many people would call failure. They have a very different relationship with it. They have a posture where there are really only two outcomes. I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. And I got to tell you, I personally got really good at listings because I just went on so many appointments and I failed a lot, but it was the cumulative learning of every single one of those appointments, right? That it began to coalesce for me and I became a trained killer. It was awesome, but it was a tough road. Make no mistake. All right. That's what I got for you today. I'm going to throw it back to you, Tanya, but I want you to know, you guys, I believe in you. I believe in you. You're doing something that is not easy, but that's what makes it awesome. That's exactly what makes it awesome.